Hi, I'm Tamsin. I run a company called Sprite Yoga and we take yoga into schools and colleges. So I've been asked by Active Sussex in collaboration with Brighton Yoga Foundation to do a session tonight aimed at teenagers, making the skills and the techniques that we learn in yoga relevant, particularly in these times when maybe at school you are not moving around as much as you might normally. I know that in some of the schools that I normally visit, there isn't the enrichment program that is normally on offer, and I also know from teaching in schools myself that year groups are in bubbles and people are restricted to classrooms, so perhaps you're not moving around so generally as you would normally on your school day. So the thing with yoga, maybe again clubs activities might not happen, things that you can do in bigger groups can't happen, but you can always do exercise on your own. So that's a great thing about yoga, it's just you and enough space to be able to stretch out. So you don't need anything. I have got a mat to stop me slipping around on the carpet. You don't necessarily need a mat, and you don't need any particular equipment to do yoga. So we're going to start thinking about breathing. So one of the main things that makes yoga what it is this attention to the breath, and then thinking about how we can move in sync with the breath. So first, just bring your hands to your body and maybe bring a hand high onto your chest, just where your collarbones go across. Put a hand high, perhaps with one on top, and I want you to consciously breathe into this part of your body. So breathe up high into your chest, pushing the hands forward and up. And then breathe out nice and steadily. So you're going to breathe in and out through your nose for these first few breathing exercises. Breathing in, and you feel like you can lengthen your spine a little bit more. Every time you breathe in, it's just a bit taller. As you breathe out, feel that kind of settling, dropping sensation as you come back down. And you can feel that underneath your hands. So just doing this is a nice way to tune in to how you're feeling right now, in this moment. How does your body feel in this shape as you sit on the floor and as you breathe? Whatever time of day you might be doing this practice. Take the hands around the sides of the ribs. So you can do it like this, or you can cross your hands and find your rib cage here. Now we're going to see if we can send the breath out sideways to fill laterally, sideways, into the lungs here. So again, breathing in and out nice and steadily. Try and keep your inhale the same length as your exhale. So you might count to 3 on the way in and count to 3 on the way out. And just notice how wide you can make your body as you breathe in as much air as you can. And breathe out and feel it narrowing back towards your spine. You're closing off. And then bring your hands to your belly. So when we breathe, we've got this great big trampoline of muscle, your diaphragm, the bottom of your lungs, that pushes down. And as you inhale, that pushing down kind of sends the contents of your abdomen, all your organs in your belly, your lunch or your dinner, out. And so feel that sensation of breathing low into the body. So this is a breath that takes us out of what we call fight and flight response and makes us calmer, sets us in a rest and digest mode. So if you're feeling stressed out, feeling like things are getting a bit on top of you, just learning to breathe like this can really help. Just taking 2 or 3 minutes. Sit down on the floor or on the chair and listen to your breath. And we're going to start this moving and breathing at the same time, so synchronizing the breath and the movement. As you breathe in, take as long to breathe in as it takes your arms to come overhead, and take as long to breathe out as it takes your arms to come back down. So you're kind of setting your own metronome. Breathing in and breathing out. I'm making a little bit of sound as I breathe in and out, so I can hear my own breath. almost like a little sigh, but with the mouth closed. Next time you come up, stay up there. And then you're going to take opposite hand to knee. If you use me like a mirror, so if I put my left hand over here, you put your right hand across to the opposite knee. Put the other hand down, and then just look. So in yoga, we often have somewhere to look. So each pose has a gaze point. So when we're twisting like this, you're going to look over your shoulder and see how far around the corner you can see. And then come back to the middle. We'll do that again. Take a big breath in. Take your breath out to settle down into the floor, and then turn the head, turn the shoulders, and see how far around the corner you can see on this side. Another thing about yoga is it's almost like a little service. You're monitoring if it's the same right and left, if it's the same as it was yesterday. Breathing in, breathing out, bring the hand to the knee. But this time we're going to take this hand up and over the top and take a kind of stretch over through the ribs. So you're opening up, fanning out the ribs on your left side as you lean away. And then come back down. We'll do that on the other side. So feel like you're opening up your lungs, getting more capacity to breathe. Breathe in, breathe out, bring the hand to the opposite knee. And then take that hand that's behind you over the top and let yourself just hang sideways a little bit. So these ribs will be closing, but these ones are opening. And bring yourself back down. If you've got your legs crossed, just pick them up and cross them the other way so we don't get set. And you can have a little bounce from side to side till you settle yourself back down. So we're feeling really rooted, grounded. We use those kind of words in yoga to make us feel a little bit more secure, maybe. To come just into a bit more of a calm state, sitting on the floor, feeling the ground beneath us. We're going to take a little side bend. Put your hand to the side, bring your arm up and over. So I often start with these seated poses and just think about getting the spine moving. We can do that with the breath. So breathe in as you come up, breathe out as you curve yourself over, and then breathe in as you come up. So you might start to notice this pattern. Usually in yoga, as you are rising, you're breathing in, and as you're falling, you're breathing out. As you're rising, you're breathing in, and as you're falling, you're breathing out. Do that on the other side 2 or 3 times. Breathing in, lengthen this side of the body. Breathing out, a little side bend. Breathing in to come up. Breathing out. So moving slowly, mindfully, and paying attention to our breath. That's all we're doing. Breathing in and breathing out. So we've twisted our spines and we've taken them over sideways into a side bend. We're now going to curve our back forward a little bit. So interlink your fingers and press your palms out in front of you, and then tuck your chin in and round your back like you're trying to scratch your back against a tree behind you. You kind of push through the palms of your hands and wriggle into that curve. And then breathe in and stretch your arms up over the top. And breathe out and bring them back down. Do that one more time. Bring your hands out in front of you, press them out. Get some space between your shoulders as you drop your head. Breathe in and lift up. Just going to pay a bit of attention to the shoulders. So this, the first named pose I'm going to give you, or this is easy posture, we call it. This is an eagle pose. Think of these giant eagle's wings. This is nice for releasing your shoulders if you've been on a computer or writing. Cross one arm over the other. So I'm going to have my left arm on top. And then spiral the arms around. It might be that you can just bring the backs of your hands together here. Maybe you can completely intertwine them and bring palms together. Keep your elbows lifted and the hands away from the face. And look up. You might move a little bit side to side. It's nice to release the shoulders. And then perhaps drop the elbows into the belly and drop your head down. And just let your head relax into your hands. This is almost calming. Send your arms out wide, take a nice breath. We will get a bit more energetic when we stand up. Crossing the arms, spiral around. Lift the elbows up and send the hands away from the face that little bit. Take your focus up, so there we have our gaze point again, a direction that we're looking. Bring the elbows down towards the belly, drop the head slightly round in the spine and support your head in your hands. It's kind of comforting. Notice how different positions in the body make you feel as you move through them. Separate the arms, and I'm going to turn so I'm lengthways on my mat. You don't need to turn direction, this is just so that you can see what I'm doing a little bit more as well. So, another name for a pose here, we're going to do boat pose. You're going to hold on to the back of your legs, we're going to do 3 of them, and switch on the core muscles a little bit. So your abdominals. Lean back and lift your feet up one at a time until it's as if they're just resting in front of you. My shins are kind of horizontal here. And my shoulders are further back than my hips. So I've got to keep some engagement in my core. You feel you're switching on the muscles in your belly. So I'm still supporting the legs this first time. It's finding that point of balance. Nice long neck, nice long spine. Broad across your shoulders. Place your feet down. Place your hands so your fingers point forward and press down and lift up. So we're just starting to open the chest a little bit here, getting a bit of power in the arms, pressing down with the feet. These are symmetrical poses. Make your right side do the same as your left. Sit back down. This time we're going to do boat pose with our feet lifted and our hands just reaching. So you can imagine you're standing against a wall with flexed feet maybe this time, and draw your toes back towards you. So stay here strong. Stay for at least 3 to 5 breaths. So you know you're putting some resistance there, so building some resilience in your body. Hold. Hold, hold. How does it feel to stay still in this position? And then press the feet down, and then press the hands down. Coming up, we call this reverse tabletop. You're making like a little table. Lift up your hips, and maybe this time let your head drop back a little bit. Keep pressing down with the feet, and send your thigh bones long and away. Knees reaching in the opposite direction. Sitting back down, careful with the neck as you come back down into the floor and sit down. We're going to do one last one. This time we're going to add a little twist. So interlink your hands across in front of your chest, and then draw one elbow around the corner. So our legs are staying where they are. I might point my toes this time, a bit of difference, and I'll draw that elbow back. So we're twisting, that means we're turning on our oblique muscles a little bit, and then come back. And then swap the hands and go the other way. Twist and hold there, you might feel a little tremble, and then come back. Feet down. Hands down, nice and square as you come up. Big breath in at the top and use the breath out to come back down. Just going to come into a slight forward fold here. Feet out in front of you, put your hands onto your ankles and then round your back down. And when we're thinking about sending our breath to different parts of the body, because you've squashed your belly and you've squashed the front of your body here, you're going to breathe into the back of your lungs. So drop the head, release the neck, and turn it a bit in the action of saying no as you breathe into your back body. So as much of the lungs are in the back part, or maybe more of our lungs actually are in the back part of the body. We think about breathing here in our chest. Actually all this area, we want to keep this nice and open for breathing. Spin yourself around, come onto your hands and your knees. So I called that reverse tabletop because this is tabletop. Here, plant your hands directly underneath your shoulders and your knees directly underneath your hips, and engage enough in your core that you're not just sagging through the middle. You're pushing slightly through the shoulders, you're switching on a little bit here in your belly, and you're really holding nice and strong through your spine, so that your head reaches forward and your tail back. So this is a tabletop position. We're going to slide our hips back until you sit on your heels. So I'm just going to change my legs a little bit. So my knees are a bit further apart, my big toes are together. And then sit back. And this is child's pose. When I teach in schools, this is often people's favourite pose. You're going to plonk your head onto the mat in front of you. Really elongate through right to the ends of your fingers, but try and keep sitting down on your heels. This lengthens our spine,
And it's a really restorative or a restful pose to sit in. Come kind of halfway up, and then you're going to do something called thread the needle. So thread a hand underneath, keep the back of the hand on the floor, and then we're just going to kind of squash that arm into the floor and reach forward. I'm going to go my fingertips on this one and stretch this one underneath. So again, we're stretching out the shoulders, still reaching back and down with our pelvis, our hips. Press down with the hand, come up, do that on the other side. Reach underneath, slide this hand till it's all the way down, put your ear down on the floor, and then reach your fingertips here. So all this is very rooting, grounding, makes us feel more secure, being on the floor, feeling gravity acting on our body. Bring yourself back up onto your hands and knees. We're just going to take a couple of balance points here. So from this tabletop, I'm going to make a 3-point balance. So take one of your hands away and just reach it forward. Try not to move anything else. So imagine you're balancing a tray of drinks. I'm going to turn to look at you, but you try and keep looking down at the mat just in front of you, and just take one hand away and then the other without moving anything else. And then try a similar thing by taking a leg away and just reach it back. It doesn't need to be high. In fact, I'd rather it wasn't high because that might distort your back. And we just want to move it out and put it back down without moving anything else in our bodies. Reaching out and coming back. And then guess what? We're going to take away one foot and one hand. Do the opposite foot and hand so you can still balance. And reach a little bit longer through your fingers and through your toes. And then put it back down. And then do that on the other side. So reaching back, reaching forward. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Know that you're alive right to the ends of your limbs. Bring that back down. We do one more child's pose. Knees apart, toes together. Sit down. I'm going to go with these little, sometimes called cupcake hands. You've got a little cake underneath your palms. And you just put your fingers and your thumbs down. Put your head on the floor. Take a breath. All the way in and all the way out. We're going to climb up into a pose that you will probably associate with yoga. I've seen it, I've heard of it, called downward dog. So my dog does this. As soon as you pick his lead up, he knows he's going for a walk, he does his little warm up, which is to do exactly this. Press into your hands, lift your knees, send your hips back and stretch out your spine. So at first I'm not going to straighten my legs, I'm going to keep them bent. I'm just going to keep reaching back with my tail, the base of my spine, and drop my head down. And then you might start walking on the spot with your feet. Then you can feel that you're stretching through the calves and the ankles and the backs of your knees. Get that spongy feeling through your feet. Keep pressing with your hands, and then eventually we can settle with our feet just like you could fit 2 of your fists between your feet. It's about the width of your pelvis between your feet. Maybe you can get the heels down and still have straight legs and straight arms, but see how you feel. It's not about what it looks like from the outside when we do yoga, it's about what it feels like for you inside. How do you feel in this shape, in this moment? Look forward, rise on your toes, bend your knees, and then tiptoe up towards your hands. You can have your legs bent, so you can keep your hands on the floor, and then gradually see where you are. If you drop your head, release your neck, see whether you can keep touching the floor and straighten your legs. That might not be possible right now, but it might be if you were to do this every day after school or college. We're going to bring ourselves up to stand by bending our knees, tucking your chin in and roll up through your spine. So remember, your spine is made of lots of vertebrae. And let's see if you can roll up and stack them one on top of the other. Once you get there, breath in, bring shoulders up. Breath out, roll them back and down. And when we're standing, this has a name, mountain pose. Grounded, feeling strong, equal weight on both feet, meaning business. Mountain, immovable. Bring yourself to the front of your mat, and we're going to take some sun salutations. So a little sequence of movement where we are coordinating the breath with the movement. So you might not be able to do it all at once. That might take a bit of familiarity to be able to think about what comes next and breathe. But see how you go. So I'm going to start with my feet just that little bit apart, pressing down to the floor. I'm going to bring my hands to my heart. This isn't praying. This is feeling the floor beneath the soles of the feet and feeling contact with the palms makes us feel that resilience. That's something we can get from yoga, that feeling of resilience, that whatever life throws at us, we're kind of still standing. We're here, we're mountains. So we're going to breathe in, lift up. As you breathe out, just let your hands come together and fold your knees, your ankles and your hips, and just let everything collapse down until you're all the way in the sort of curled up ball. Your feet are still flat on the floor. And you can maybe rest your rib cage against your knees. And then you're going to press on your knees. It's going to be nice and slow the first time. Lift the head away and elongate the legs and the spine. And then come back down and find the floor with your fingertips. You might be able to get both hands flat on the floor, and you're going to step back one leg and then the other. Feel that power in your arms, and then bring your knees to the floor. You're going to lay yourself down onto your belly, gently into the floor. And then stretch your legs out. You might kind of walk almost backwards. Stretch your legs along. I'm going to come into a position called Sphinx. It's like at the pyramids. Half lion, half man pose. So that's what a Sphinx is, isn't it? It's a creature, made up creature. Press into your palms, lift up, and we're opening the chest here. This is a good counter pose for all that time we spend on screens and apps and games and anything to do with technology, where we look down and forward, look up and back. Come back down, bring your hands by your ribs, tuck your toes, lift yourself up, and then come into this downward dog shape. Drop your head, press the hands, press the feet. Look to the front of your mat, rise high on your toes, bend at your knees, and you're going to step with your right and then your left. We're going to come up nice and easy with a swing of the arms. Drop the arms back behind you, swing them through, lift and lengthen up. Take a big breath in and breath out. So we do that exactly the same, a little bit quicker. And all that's different is we're going to step back with the left leg. So breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Then back left. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in as you climb your way up there. And breathe out and have that sense that this is a settling place as well. Stack ourselves up like a big pyramid. Look to the front of your mat, rise high on your toes, bend at the knees. Step with your left leg first, break your habits. Left and then right. Swing the arms back behind you, draw yourself up, breathe in, lengthen and breathe out. So this is a mini practice. If you do a few repetitions of this, that is a whole practice in itself, because we're using all the major muscle groups. We're lengthening out the front body, we're lengthening out the back body, powering up our arms and our chest and our shoulders, and strengthening the legs and the belly and the core. So lots going on. Do two more, slightly different. Breathe in, lift up. Breathe out, maybe keep your legs and your back long. See how it feels to go down over straight legs. See if you can come down like you're hinging at your hips. Maybe you can reach the floor in front of you and still keep your legs straight. You're going to step back with your right and then stay in this long lunge. So the knee comes forward and the heel goes back, and we elongate our spine here. Drop your knee down, and we're going to come up. This is a crescent moon. So come up so that your shoulders are floating over your hips and you're dropping through. And we're going to scoot the hands forward and up, and then slightly backwards. Again, opening the chest, opening up the throat. And then coming back down, hands come either side of that foot. Lengthen out the legs, stand back. Breathe in. Stay here with your legs long and your knees off the floor. and then bring the knees down and bring your chest down. Just move your hands a little bit further forward and then come up, gently lifting a little bit further out. Cobra. And then breathe out, come back down. Bring your hands back a bit, tuck your toes, press back into downward dog. Drop your head. Consciously breathe. 2 or 3 long, steady breaths here. Feel your body calming and opening up. Look to the front of your mat, rise high on your toes, bend your knees, try jumping and landing quietly. Send your palms pressing like a bow and arrow, like an arrow point in front of you, and then come up, lift, press away, bring yourself back. Last one of those. Breathing in, opening up the body. Breathing out, widening all the way down into the floor. Breathing in, maybe onto your fingertips. Breathing out, it's going to be our left leg that steps back. Giant step. Stay in this runner's lunge for a moment with a long neck and long legs. So you can look out that knee, the back. Keep your weight nicely steady. Drop your knee. Bring yourself up so your shoulders are over your hips. Take a moment to steady yourself here and then swing the arms through. And you can sink the hips forward and down here. I'm imagining I've got threads attached to my thumbs that are getting drawn back to this crescent shape. And then coming down, hands press, lift the knee, stay here. Keep high on the toes and take your weight right forward over your fingertips. And you may bring the knees down, or you may come down with straight legs and hover just off the floor. And you may come onto the floor here, or you may have stayed up there. And you can come up, press the feet into the floor, and then this is called upward dog, and you press the floor away and lift your knees off. You can be here. We'll put the knees down and we'll come back down. It's safer to come into the floor and then come back up through the knees and come into downward dog. Drop the head, breathe, take a nice long breath in. Just feel like opening up the legs a little bit. Put your left foot into the middle of the mat and stretch the other leg up as high as you can. You can maybe bend at the knee a couple of times, stretch it up again, waking up the legs. And bring that foot back down. We'll do that on the other side. Lift this leg up, stretch it up, bend at the knee, stretch it up again. Bring it back down. We're going to take that big jump to the front. High your toes. Bend at the knees. Jump and land. Press your palms. Come up to stand. Lift, lengthen, and then settle here. Great. So we learned lots there. We're going to do very briefly 2 little standing poses. So we're going to turn our feet wide apart. You're going to turn the toes of one foot slightly in and the toes of the other foot out. And the width between my feet is about the length of one of my legs. I'm going to imagine that I'm leaning back against a wall. So my shoulders are here. Keep your palms facing forward for now. Take this hand down your back leg and lift this one up high. Reach up a bit higher. And then we're going to gradually fold forward. Reach as if you're trying to reach something over here. Keep coming down until you can put your hand on your shin. The first time, just place it on your shin and then take this arm up above you. Turn your head, our gaze point in triangle, because that's what this is up towards the ceiling beyond our fingers. And then come back up with a nice long back. Steady yourself. Do that one more time. We're going to do this reverse triangle first. This time you might lean back a little bit further. And then come over and reach and reach and reach. You might come a little bit further down towards your foot. You might be able to put fingertips just down onto the floor here and lift up long. We're trying to get like a vertical line with our arms. Come up with a long spine all the way up. Turn your palms down and then bend that front knee. So this is called warrior 2. So these poses, these warrior poses, are about feeling the strength and the resilience, which is really important at the moment, to keep going, be resilient. Looking a long way ahead into the distance beyond your fingers. It's a bit like a bow and arrow. You've shot the arrow into a target. The target's a long way away. Let's sink a bit further down. Straighten that front knee, spin the toes in. We'll do one little forward fold, a symmetrical thing in the middle. Breathe in, lift up. Breathing out. You can bend the knees or keep them long as you come down with a long back. And maybe move your hands down to your ankles. Drop the head a little bit lower down. Might hold on to the backs of your ankles and draw yourself through a little bit. Just listen to what's going on, how it feels for your body. Bring your hands back to your hips and come up with a long spine all the way up through into the middle, and make sure your pelvis comes right underneath. We're standing strong. So this toe tips in, this one turns out. We'll do that on the other side. So when we do these asymmetrical poses, we make sure we do them on both sides. Opening wide, like a big yawn. Feel that width across your body. Take up all your personal space. That's a lot of the work for me. That's what's important with young people, is learning to take up the space. Bring your hand back and lift up. Because you're growing, and sometimes you don't really grow right into your limbs. Grow and take up and be greedy with the amount of space you take up in the world. Coming back up, of course not at the expense of other people. Coming down, hands to your shin, open the chest, look up. Breathe. Breath in brings us back up. We do that one more time. Reverse triangle, lift up. Okay, we're feeling strong through our legs. Coming back up and over, all the way down, finding our balance, seeing what muscles we have to engage to stay in this shape. Breathing in, coming up, we're going to do our warrior two on this side. So you're going to flip your palms over and bend that front knee. You might adjust your legs a little bit, but you're trying to keep this thigh opening, making sure your knee goes right over the front of the foot. Often it wants to go in towards your big toe, so send it out and be here. Just test that little bow and arrow, draw it through, back, fire it off, drop down a bit lower, find the ground, feel strong. One more breath there, and then press out of the floor, turn your toes in, turn your heels in, and just bring your hands back to that middle place, and we're just going to sit. This is called Goddess. You just bounce a little bit, and feel strong through your legs, and then come up to stand. We're going to come down, all the way down into the floor. Bring your feet a bit closer together, but still a bit wider than your hips. And just bring your hands down in front, so you can come down into this however you want. We're coming down into a deep squat. So you're down into the floor. It's quite nice to wriggle around a bit once you get down there. Keep the weight on the toes and on the fingertips. See if you can root your tail or your pelvis, your bum, down towards the floor. This is really good for your lower back. And then some of you might be able to get your feet flattened into the floor and release the hands out of the floor and bring your elbows to the inside of your knees. If you can get here, you can maybe get the heels of your hands together, press them and sit up a little bit. So we're in this pose, this deep squat. We spend a lot of time on chairs, and we lose the ability to do this. So whilst you're young, keep doing this, and you'll still be doing it when you're 80. If you stop now, it'll be harder to get it back. Elongate your spine, feel those deep creases in your pelvis. If it's too much to get the heels down and you're not balancing, just bring your fingers back down, come on your toes. You're still getting all the benefits for your lower back and your hips. And then we're going to sit ourselves down. So we're just going to finish sitting now how we began. We might just do a quick cobblers, just so you've got that feeling of being symmetrical for a moment with your feet pressed, the knees out, sitting up tall. If you join me next week, we will do some relaxation stuff at the end where we do some lying down poses, which are really good in terms of helping us sleep. So it might be something you do in the evening.
but today was more about resilience. So learning those sun salutations to get us moving, and then couple of standing poses where you're holding into a shape, feeling strong and powerful in a warrior. So we're going to come back to that nice slow breathing. We're going to stay seated to finish today, and that nice coordination of the breath and the movement. So breathing in, lift up, and feel how this settles you, settles your mind. Breathing in, lifting up, lengthen the body, breathing out, coming back down, and then literally give yourself a hug. So see if you can find your shoulder blade with one hand and the other, and then kind of walk them closer together. You won't be able to find fingers behind you, but that's you sort of going towards, trying to get your fingers closer and closer together. And then just drop your head in and give yourself a squeeze. Really nurturing. Notice what it's like to be in that shape, and then do the opposite. So you're going to interlink your hands behind your back, press them down, and just open the chest a little bit and look up. Breathe. Remembering which arm is on top, do the opposite. Give yourself a hug the other way. Get those arms into position. Wriggle your fingers, and maybe feel your shoulder blades. Give yourself a bit of a massage with your fingertips. Quite nice. Drop the head in. Give yourself a squeeze. And then open the arms nice and wide. And then this time just put them back down on the floor behind you. And open your chest up. Again, anti-technology pose. Opening that front body up. And then come back. And just sit. Just for a couple of breaths. And then if you want to lie down, you can finish your practice here, seated today. Or you can take a little lie down. It's always the best pose of a yoga practice. This final one. Lie down into the floor. Take your time to make sure you release all the muscles in the shoulders, in the arms, in the neck. Maybe put your hands on your belly at first. And then lengthen your legs to the corners of your mat, or outwards or diagonal away from your body. Put the backs of your hands on the floor. Just lay down. We're just checking everything's symmetrical, elongated. And then come back to that long, steady breath. So this is where we absorb what we've done and also observe your body, your breath, and your state of mind. So all those three things are linked. And notice, by doing a practice like this, that's what you tune into. What you do with your body, how you breathe, can shift your state of mind. So if you're feeling anxious, it can calm you down. If you're feeling lacking in energy, it can give you energy. If you're feeling overexcited, nervous, it can just bring you back to a more centered place. So stay there as long as you like. I shall leave you resting, and hopefully you'll tune in again next week and we shall do some more. Thank you.